Sorry, I had to do it. Welcome on in, everybody, to D-Backs Dispatches. We are here to discuss another unfortunate series split. 4 games series being resulting in a split is never fun for anyone. It's just a little bit boring, but we're gonna make it as fun as we possibly can. Appreciate you guys joining us and the trio here with Gabe, Brandon, and myself, Brett. Like I said, as we are here to discuss another completed series for the Diamondbacks. If this is your first time in here, want to welcome you guys all in the live chat. Appreciate all you guys stopping by as always. And if you are listening to this on Apple, Spotify, wherever you are listening to on the audio pod, again, we appreciate you guys there as well. If you guys are on the YouTube side, if you guys can like, comment, subscribe, does help out the algorithm a ton. If you are on the Apple and Spotify end, leave us a rating, whatever you feel like we deserve. Throw it in there. We would appreciate that as well. Also, make sure you guys go on over to azsnakepit.com. Josh has a bunch of article recaps over there. Or series recaps in written form. So if you guys want a little bit more dispatch, content, but in a written form, check out that over there. Plus a ton of other great writers that they have over at the Snake Pit, because the staff over there is a lot of great people, especially Jeff in our Discord and all that. And also make sure you guys go over to our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, follow us on all the socials. And then while you're over on Twitter, make sure you go into our pinned tweet. If you're not in the Discord already, go join the Discord. Join our community that's growing pretty much every single week. Feels like we get new members kind of joining left and right. But to kind of dive on in here, like I said, this is a series split against the San Diego Padres, which I even said at the end of our last series, you know what, as long as minimum, like at worst, got a split. Sucks because they don't really gain ground, they don't really lose ground, and they just kind of, like I said, it's just a meh ending. Game one on Monday at least started off good. The D-backs did win that one, score of 6-3. Looked like Zach Gallen, a very rare masterclass from him. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, dropped his ERA on the season to 5.15, so I don't believe he's no longer the worst qualified starting pitcher ERA-wise in the league. McCann called a great game for him. I think this is the second good game out of 3. I know the one bad game with McCann calling was the White Sox game. I'm going to put that on more of just Gallen not locating his pitches and where McCann called it, so that was just a nice tandem there. Corbin, after all the discussion about him, maybe not having his timing right, was really solid. He went 2 for 5 with a double and a triple. Now 10 triples on the season. I believe he's leading the league, or at least up there with Jarren Duran. And another name that was pretty solid here, Gurriel went 3 for 5. He was swinging a hot bat, along with Naylor hitting a home run. A really good pad run there. Again, D-backs do take that game one score of 6-3. They tried to keep the winning vibes and the good energy going into game 2. And the pitching definitely did that, as Merrill Kelly went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run with no walks, which is always a big key, and only 4 strikeouts. Going into this game, there was a tweet by Codify that teams when a starting pitcher goes 6+ innings with 1 run or fewer allowed in a game, the D-backs were the best out of the entire league. They were 20-0. Unfortunately, that streak, of course, it is baseball tweets that predict unfortunate moments, whatever the hell the count's called. I can't think of the top of my head. The D-backs are now 21 of those situations, as they got blanked on this entire game. They wasted Merrill Kelly's fantastic outing. San Diego did make 2 stellar catches on defense to rob the D-backs of getting any runs. Jackson Merrill had a home run robbery of Corbin Carroll. That was just a fantastic play to Merrill, tip of the cap. And same thing to the All-Star in right field, Fernando Tatis Jr. He also made a nice leaping play at the wall, again, to help keep the D-backs off the board. Even without that, the D-backs just couldn't capitalize in this game, kind of a topic that we've been seeing throughout most of the season. They went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and then, of course, the only run that came in this game was a solo home run off the bat of Luis Arias in 2025. And I don't know if he was looking in a certain direction, but the second he hit it, he kind of looked the D-backs dugout, at least. Seemed like he gave him like a dirty look or some kind of shit, which is like, Luis Arias, you're not that guy, pal. But D-backs do drop this one, score of 1-0. They get to the winning vibes and good energy back in game 3, though. They do take this one 8-2, and it was a slugfest. The Padres, I was listening to the recap on YouTube, and it's funny, the Padres broadcaster said Dylan Cease basically going up there in that game and saying, here's a fastball, see how far you can hit it. And that aged like absolute milk in the Arizona sun, as the D-backs turned it into their own personal home run derby. James McCann looking really solid. He hit his 2nd home run as a Diamondback. Gino hit his 29th of the season. Should have been in the fucking home run derby over Jazz Chisholm. That's a conversation for later. Perdomo did hit a grand slam off Cease, so 3 home runs off Cease and 6 earned runs. And then Carroll added another one in the, I think, ninth inning for his 21st of the season. And then Brandon Pfaadt continued the trend of pitching. That's 3 straight games of really solid starting pitching efforts, which we just did not see. Kelly went up Gallen in innings, and then Pfaadt went up to Kelly in innings. He went 8 innings, retired 13 in a row after a leadoff double to Tatis. This is the first time in 2025 that he went 7 innings. First time going into the seventh since May 8th against LA. And this is the first time in his entire career that he went into the eighth inning. So, like I said, an absolute masterclass from Brandon Pfaadt. And the offense really showed out to give him a ton of breathing room because that's definitely what you need for Brandon. He needs to settle in, and that's what we saw in this one. And then tonight in Game 4, the one that is obviously fresh in all of our minds, the D-backs tried to win this series, take 3 of 4 in San Diego, and then roll on into LA to face the Angels with the series win. But unfortunately, they would fall just a little bit short. They lose this game at a score of 3-4. Eduardo Rodriguez was not solid once again. Gave up, or he only went 4 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and 2 home runs. One of them was an absolute meatball to a future Hall of Fame third baseman, Manny Machado. That you just can't be doing. Erod, just too many meatballs lately against the Royals and now against the Padres. But the offense really didn't help him out or the rest of the bullpen, as the bullpen was really solid in this one again. No runs allowed over the next 5 innings. I think Murillo allowed an inherited run. Doesn't go in against his credit, but other than that one, the bullpen was shut out the rest of the way. Woodford had a solid 2 innings there. But the offense went 1 for 10 this entire game. I believe Gabe had the stat before. They were like 5 for 30 something. He can clarify that in a second, but they just bad with runners in scoring position the entire game, and this game especially, or the entire series, this game especially, like I said, 1 for 10 with RISP and 10 left on base. They had a ton of good chances, more base running mistakes. Randall Grichuk kind of got thrown out there trying to steal second base, some base running blunders in general, to where they're just not playing the D-backs way. They're not playing crisp, clean baseball, and it kind of does come to bite them in the ass in the end there. Like I said, they lose this one 3-4, and they just go down 1-2-3 in the ninth inning. They could not do against Estrada what they did. Was it Estrada? Who's their closer? Um,
Suarez.
Suarez, thank you. They could not do to Suarez what they did on that Sunday game a few weeks, or Saturday game a few weeks ago, where they I think it was Sunday actually. I'm mixing up my days. It's been a long day, all right. Where they walked him off. They went 1-2-3. They went down. Like I said, they split this series. So there was a lot of good. Like I said, the starting pitching was really solid. We saw a lot of good things from both Gallen, Erod, or Gallen, Merrill, and Pfaadt. Not so many great things from Erod, and then some other highs and lows throughout the game, especially I believe after last night's win, Alec Thomas doing that the Indonesian boat celebration. That was fun to see the socials kind of post and blow up. So when they're winning, vibes are good, and when they're not, vibes are probably still good. But either way, splitting a series of 4 games is just not fun because they're in the exact same spot that they were before we went into this. So passing it on to you, Gabe. I like to always kick it off with you. What are some of your thoughts? What kind of stood out to you this series? Whether you want to kind of stick to some of the good and try to turn this into a positive, or whether there's something that kind of stuck out to you that the D-backs definitely need to work on a little bit if they want to convince Mike Hazen to be buyers, which again, we'll have a little bit more on that as well later.
Yeah, this is just a failure, I think, overall. I know that's something that a lot of people don't want to hear us say, like calling this a failure or saying that we're being negative, like we should take the positives. But the reality is this team, they split a series and they fell behind in the wild card standings. There are 4, I believe, coming into the series. Now they're 5 games behind the wild card and they still have a few teams in front of them. And this was the perfect time to take advantage of the Padres' struggling offense. And for the most part, the pitching did its job. This pitching gave this team a chance to win every single day. I mean, even today with Erod, 3 runs when he left, and Moreno couldn't hold the runners on, and so the inherited runner counted against Erod. But still, 4 runs, that should be enough for this offense to come through and come through and win the game. Same with Tuesday, Merrill Kelly, 7 innings, 1 run. This team got shut out, and they've been shut out twice in the last 4 games at this point too, and it's just very inconsistent offense. Like it's that meme that we shared before. It's like when one thing is going great, 2 of them are going terribly. And right now, for the most part, the starting pitching and the bullpen has been very, very good or solid, and the offense has just been wildly inconsistent. In the games that they've lost, they've scored a combined 1.5 runs. In the games that they've won, they've averaged out to, I believe, 6 runs or so, 7 runs. So in 2 wins, they averaged 7 runs, and the 2 losses, they averaged 1.5. Like this can't happen, especially with this team, with this offense. When you have Corbin Carroll, Qatar Marte, Eugenio Suarez, like you have all these guys who should be able to come through, and they just didn't. I mean, the stat was 5 for 38 with runners in scoring position, which is I believe 131 batting average, and that's just not going to get it done. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to have a starting pitcher who goes 9 innings and shuts a team down in order to be able to win, and that's just not going to happen ever. So this team has to be able to score and have to be able to score on runs that aren't based off a home run. I think that's kind of what this team did in this series. They try to trade off singles, doubles, and triples for the home run ball, and they got burned for it. They had 2 home runs taken away, but also they went 0 for 8 and then 0 for 10 and just left way too many men on. And it's just really upsetting because, we're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline and teams are going to buy. So people keep saying, like, oh, well, this team is, a couple pieces away from being back into this. Who's to say that the Reds don't make a better offer to a team for a relief pitcher or for another bat? Who's to say the Giants will make a better move? Who's to say the Padres will make a better move? Like, Mike Hazen has a very limited pool to choose from at this point, and I don't know. Like, I don't want to call it. I don't want to stick a fork in it, but if they don't at least win the series against the Angels, I think this team is back to square one and just sort of looking out. They're closer to the Marlins than they are to the wild card spot. Like, that's how bad this team is right now. So I'm frustrated, and I think that a lot of the team is frustrated as well. And something needs to change, and I don't know what it is. I mean, one of those things is letting McCann hit a lot more often than he does. He's just crushing the ball. He's walking a lot, and today Herrera, 2 men on. That's the perfect time to take him out. It's the 6th inning, and he was just left in there. Saw strike 3, and again, you can't give away outs. This whole season has been giving away free outs, and at this point in the season, you can't keep doing that over and over again. You have 27 outs to play with. You can't start off a game with 24.
Yeah, I think you made a lot of great points there. Where some might not say it's a fail necessarily, but I mean I can see where you're coming from, saying that the fact that the 2 games they lost were definitely both winnable games, where they very just like a lot of the games this season, they very easily could have. Uh, whether you at least won the series and possibly even swept if they just didn't get out of their own way, or if they just could have gotten out of their own way. And on the James McCann topic, you're saying well, he should play more. Even Jeff kind of agrees, saying that James McCann catches tonight and Erod goes 6 innings. I mean, possibility, but not 100% guaranteed because obviously, even with Herrera, like I don't think Herrera's calling for a 91-mile-an-hour fastball down the dick of the plate to Manny Machado. So that one kind of still falls on Erod a little bit, but I do agree with what you're saying. It seems like this team kind of one step forward, one step back. They get 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. They're just kind of staying, and they've been either a game or two below or a game or two of above 500 in this range, where it seems like a month now. Like ever since like around that Pirates series, national series at home, right when Corbin Burns kind of went out for the season, it just seems like ever since then we've just seen the wheels somewhat fall off, and they just can't continue. They can't get on a roll. They can win a game or two, but then they lose 2 or 3. They can win 3, then they immediately lose 4. They can't consistently get on that rhythm. And I think, like you even said, it's that meme of two switches are on, one of them's off. No matter what the combination is, they just cannot fully click as a team, and it's getting a little bit frustrating. But Brandon, throwing it on to you, do you kind of agree with Gabe that the series was in a way a little bit of a failure? Do you think like you're going to try to twist it in a little more positive way? Because again, there were a lot of positives. 3 of the 4 starting pitchers did go 6+ and a combined earned run of what, like 5, I believe, because 2 from Pfaadt, 1 from Kelly, and then 2 from Gallen. So it was a lot of positive, but again, still just a frustrating end to the series here, as they do drop 2 of the 4 and fail to really gain any ground in the wild card and just in general the division. Because the Dodgers have lost like 6 or 7 of the last like 8 or 9. So if there was any series to make up ground, it was indeed this one.
I think it's a like yes, they split. I think it's a loss because of how much time in 4 days. The fact that you literally you lost ground really. Like you didn't move forward at all. Like you had 8 games between the Giants and Padres, and the fact is you split both, so you really didn't gain any ground. Like that's a lot of games where you don't move. Like that to me is It's not good. But this team's gonna try day in and day out. They're never gonna give up. Don't tell the players that they're selling because they're not. Like you could hear it in today's game when Jody was talking to Brandon Pfaadt. Like he feels like they're playing really well right now. I disagree because if you were playing well, you'd be over 500. But this team is just. It is frustrating to watch some days, but the freaking starting outside of today, starting pitching was really, really good. So you had Gallen go 6 innings, 9 Ks. Merrill Kelly 7 innings, 1 earned, 4 Ks. Brandon Pfaadt 8 innings, 2 earned, 4 K. Like that's a really good stretch of 3 games from your starting pitching. So that's 21 innings pitched, 13 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 17 Ks. It's a 1.29 ERA with a .67 WHIP. If you get that out of 3 starting pitchers in a series, you're like, oh, you must have won all 3 games. But they did. Like it was so frustrating. Like, I'm glad I didn't watch Tuesday's game as I was going to see a movie. So, from what I could tell, I didn't miss much on Tuesday, other than getting robbed home runs by 2 shortstops. By the way. I mean, 2 really athletic shortstops in Jackson.
Yeah, you're right. 2
Fernando,
shortstops converted outfielders. I forgot about that.
So yeah. Also, Alec Thomas, that catch was that Monday?
Monday,
I think
yeah.
it was Monday, wasn't it? That is the catch of the year for this team, without a doubt. Like how far he had to go, and the fact that he knew that he needed to slide, because if he didn't slide, he was gonna run into that wall. And I don't know where. I think Statcast said it was like a 40% catch probability.
Well,
I'm like, bull. No way. I was like, no way. Yeah, the whole runners in scoring position things, it's just gonna be a thing. Like it's never gonna be what we want it to be because this team, they all search for the homer. And I'm like, you guys just gotta stop. Because this is what we'll see. We'll see series like this where they're batting 130 with runners in scoring position. It's just, it can't happen. One thing that I'm getting a little worried about, and not super worried because he just came back, Carroll's been swinging a lot and missing.
Yeah, 2 golden sombreros in the last 6 games.
Yeah, like I know he hit a home run on Wednesday, but he had 4 strikeouts before that. So, I know people's gonna say, "Oh, this team has a hard decision when Gabby comes back." No, they don't. It's a very, very easy decision. You DFA Jose Herrera. I personally think he might clear waivers. He may not. There might be some teams that think that he'd be pretty good, but James McCann at this point, I've seen enough. He should be starting every day. Like there's no just take a look at what he's done with Gallen in 3 starts. Like he's turned Gallen around. Pfaadt had a quote because we noticed he was starting to throw a cutter. It says, "I know Eddie throws a cutter. Gallen and Merrill throw a cutter. Nelly throws a cutter, so I guess I was the only one that didn't throw a cutter, so I had to bring it out." He threw more cutters than 4-seamers yesterday. So I'm hoping new month, new Brandon Pfaadt, because that start last night was great. Like I'm like, okay, if we can get April and May Pfaadt, then second half, you never know. They did it last year. They went on a run, but it's going to be really hard to jump 4 teams in the standings for a wild card spot. But this team, the offense can do it. It's just the bullpen is what worries me.
Yeah, so there's definitely still some question marks, and I think you did kind of touch on a little bit. I know even Gabe mentioned it, and I think we're all in agreement. This is overall just kind of a loss because again they didn't lose the series, but they failed to make up ground when it was right there in front of them, and the opportunities did present themselves. They just couldn't capitalize on it, and even as Jeff saying, I will say the Padres had a good bullpen. That helps, or that doesn't help. I'm assuming is with like the runners in scoring position. Again, they do have a lot like Morojon's having a great season. Adam Estrada and Suarez are all really solid. I know Suarez had that one game against us, but he's otherwise been a borderline all-star caliber closer like all year. And he's saying, wouldn't that be nice having a good bullpen? I agree. That's the kind of bullpen that we were all expecting to see this year, but at least we've seen them, turn around. Especially Kevin Ginkel, he's been pretty solid over his last couple appearances. So it's been nice to at least see some progression. He's got his ERA down from like 15 to 9. So a few things here and there trending in the positive direction. Corbin, maybe not as much. A few games here and there. Definitely, I do agree. Cut down on the strikeouts a little bit. Sorry if you guys hear my son in the background. He's also very upset about this series as well. But yeah, definitely a few things that I think that they should at least hopefully hone in on and fix this series, because we'll get to it in a little bit for this next Angels one, but they got to at least at minimum win 2 of 3. If they get sweep, then you know what, we're so back. We've never been more back. We're all in on buying, but if we lose the series, and I think that could potentially be the sign of like. I know you mentioned it. The guys in the clubhouse, they don't want to see themselves. Especially, I know Jake McCarthy had the comment, I believe, after the Giants game, when he said like they don't know shit about the fans thinking that they're gonna sell and like they're out of it. Which again, I get it. I love the confidence. You gotta know that. And gotta believe that you can get it done, and you gotta let your GM know that, hey, like, we're not giving up either. But sometimes the writing is on the wall, and you can't just ignore it. You gotta, like, sometimes you might need to look in the mirror and face facts, which is not what I want to happen. I would rather eat crow and be wrong. But what we've seen over this last month or so, it is a lot to, even like Brandon said, it's hard to make up all that ground. And this is why I know me and Gabe sometimes get a little more flack of it, but this is why even games in April and May, we say really, really come to count, because there's a lot more games early on in the season where, yes, it's early, but if you win those, then you're not sitting here near the trade deadline going, yeah, we really need to go on like a sweep streak or win 5 of 7, win 6 of 9 or 6 of 8, 7 of 9, whatever it is. Where if you win those games early on the season, you don't have to worry about it as much. But still,
we can see it. Sorry, we can see it right now with like not dropping games, not punting games the way this team has, and the way Torrey has. Like, look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers have lost 6 games in a row. They have lost 0 ground in the standings. The Giants are behind them by 5 games still. But you're able to.
Well, they gained a little ground because they were up by like 8 or 9 games. So Giants made a little ground, but like.
But not enough to make an actual real impact. I mean, still 5 games. They have a really good cushion, and that's after losing 6 games. The D-backs lose 6 games in a row, they are completely out of the playoffs at that point, and no hope of them coming back. Like, they're not going to go on a 20, like an Oakland A's run where they win 20 games in a row or something. So that was my frustration early on in the year, just with the punting and then using guys and not using guys, resting guys when they probably shouldn't have been rested, and then. You look at the injuries, because now Shelby Miller is doubtful for maybe the rest of the year. We don't know. I don't think we discussed that. I think it was at the beginning of this series. But again, it's like the usage and not usage of these guys, where they're like, oh well, they need to stay healthy. Great job. Half our entire bullpen staff is gone, and even our pitchers. Like, how many Tommy Johns have we had? I mean, they've done such a great job with keeping guys healthy. I mean, it's terrible.
I think that because I was thinking about this. I know Nugget will probably call me out on the Discord, rightfully so, because I think he said he was going to bookmark it. I remember when they signed, I think Blake Snell or got Roki Sasaki, and I made, again, it was mostly just a joke.
Yes, you did, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I've maybe brought this on ourselves, but I was like, again, all in jokes. I don't actually wish for anybody's injuries, but just because it's the Dodgers spend all this money, they get all these good pitchers. I did like the prayer circle, and it's like Dodgers UCL explosions. I guess maybe the baseball gods got the wrong team that starts with a D in the NL West. Instead of the Dodgers, it's been the D-backs, because what is that now, like 7 guys that have basically either had their elbow explode season over, or at least are going to miss some time. So my bad. I'll take the flack on that one. That's on me. It's on me, baseball gods. I undo it. But yeah, it's been frustrating to see some of the punting. But kind of getting into our next topic before we discuss a little bit of the Mike Hazen talk of the trade deadline coming up. I know Gabe, you wanted to talk more about it or mention in a group chat you wanted to talk about it, and even Jeff kind of alluded to it, or at least teased it a little bit and read our minds. No, Oscar, I don't think any of us. It's been nice to not have Paven getting any 0 for 4
I
strikeout.
mean, shout out to Tristan English. He looked really good defensively at first.
Yeah,
Like I was really, and I mean, it sucked he didn't get a hit, but I thought he looked pretty good
it's
at
okay.
first
He
base.
he filled in Paven's spot of striking out with runners in scoring position, so we're fine. Or popping up, or just doing nothing with it, because that's what we were getting for the last month and a half. But going into our next topic here, I know even Brandon kind of brought it up, is what's going to happen with the backup catcher role when Gabby. And we haven't even fully heard news. I think he's slightly trending in the positive direction of coming back, but we still haven't actually heard any concrete details on when that might be, or I mean, I feel like even the Corbin Carroll return was kind of just out of nowhere. We figured, oh, it might be right after the All Star break, whatnot. But no, he came back earlier, so maybe we get like that with Gabby. But whenever he does return, what does his team do with their backup catchers? A lot of fans I've seen in the Discord online are thinking, you know what, if we are going to be sellers, maybe there's going to be a team or two that are willing to trade some mid-level prospect, double A guy, whoever it is, doesn't have to be a top guy, for James McCann, because if he's hitting like this, maybe some team can use it. Especially, I know even Brandon mentioned the Padres have two mediocre catchers, or maybe we do cut bait on Jose Herrera, and then risk some team picking him up, and he turns into fucking Cal Raleigh 2.0, just out of nowhere and decides to be able to hit,
It's
like
not
home runs.
happening.
I know. But with our luck, that
The
would
dude's foot
exactly,
5'9", 170.
yeah. Saying, and we're uh, I know there's been times where I've been, very harsh about it, and he has been, I'd say, better over the last like 3 weeks than the Jose Herrera we saw for 3.5 years, which is good. So maybe it was the more opportune time to cut him. But either way, there is going to be a tough decision to make. What do you want the team to do with their backup catcher role? Who would you take, and what do you think? I guess what do you want to see the team do, and what do you envision the team actually doing when it comes time to going down from obviously three catchers when Gabby's back to two?
So I know Brandon said that it's an easy decision to keep McCann, and to some extent, I would agree. Like, it's the obvious decision, at least on the surface level, where you're like, yeah, McCann needs to stay up here. Like the way he's hitting, like I said, the walks that he's taking too. Like he just has such a good eye for the zone. But the problem with McCann, at least for this year, he didn't have any sort of spring training. Like he was kind of, I mean, I'm sure he was training in the meantime, but it wasn't like they took him from a team. He hadn't had full playing time since last season, so this could just be a quick spurt, of success. And we've seen this happen a lot with other players before, where they have these streaks of like a couple weeks where they're just impossible to get out, and then teams adjust once they see film on them, and then suddenly they're back to who they were before that. Like the back of the baseball card doesn't lie. He is a career 240 guy, and it could be he could revert back to that. I mean, he is in his mid 30s at this point. But the issue with him compared to Jose Herrera is the fact that Herrera doesn't have any options. And like I said, I know a lot of this fan base would be more than happy to have him be DFA'd. But if you think about what that would mean, is Gabby comes back, he's the primary catcher, McCann is right behind him, and it's a total vibe. Everyone's happy. What happens if somebody gets injured? And Herrera has been picked up by, let's say, the Padres. He's a lot better than both of the Padres catchers, by the way. He has better numbers than both of them.
Maldonado can actually throw people
It's
out at least.
I mean, at least
he
look
couldn't
at
today. Did you see him today?
Throw out Grichuk.
we got Grichuk. But I mean, even with Maldonado, look at his WRC plus. Herrera is still higher than his. His WAR is higher. Like he is higher, and he has good rotation around the league as a real pitcher whisperer. Like he has a good repertoire with the pitchers. Like he gets along well with all of them. So, and it was something that I mentioned in the group chat as well, that I think when his career is over, he is going to be some sort of coach or some sort of manager, just because of the way he talks to the pitchers and to players. Like he's the one who noticed barrel cramping before anyone else did. Like he just has a really good eye for the field, and so maybe that's where he's gonna end up. And I would be more than happy to have him be there. But in if you let him go again, if he gets DFA'd, another team can pick him up, and then it's McCann, it's Gabby, ADC is still working his way back. What happens if McCann goes down again, or not again? But what if he goes down? What if Gabby goes down again? Then ADC is your backup catcher. Do you trust ADC with the way he catches? Because he is not a good catcher. Uh, he would be a great DH on this team, but in terms of catching, he can't throw guys out. He's not a good framer. Like overall, he's a net negative as the catcher. Offensively, he's incredible, but you'd have to be willing to trade that off. And going into next season, as of right now, the catchers that they have on the staff that are major league ready, Gabby, Herrera, and ADC. Without Herrera there, then that would be just Gabby and ADC. You don't if McCann continues this year that he's having, this team I don't think is going to be able to afford McCann going into next season.
Some
And will
team
they
will
be
willing
willing?
give him like
At
a 70, 80
another
game
team,
season contract.
exactly. Like they're gonna. There's another team that's probably gonna overpay to have him be on there. I mean, even look at the Yankees. They don't have the best catcher ever back there. There's certain competing teams that would probably prefer to have McCann catching for them as opposed to their guys. So it is something to think about. And so for me, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Again, I'd rather have McCann, but there's no guarantee they're going to keep him from next season. And at that point, you would be left with two catchers in the system who are ready to go because in Double A, there's truly nothing there. Single A, nothing. So they would be in the same position they were this year, where they're picking Tucker Barnhart off the street and seeing if he works out or not.
You do bring up a good point, especially I totally understand, maybe the hesitation of like, yes, McCann's good. And I've even said it before about like, the beginning of the season with Pavin, Herrera with like 2, 3 weeks. It is a smaller sample size. He's only had like 25 less than 30 at bats as a Diamondback so far. So, he could very well cool off. Teams could readjust to him because who knows, it could be one of those where because he's been in the minors so long, teams maybe don't know what adjustments he's made and where they need to pitch to him to get him out. And that could very well happen in the next week or two. And then we're sitting here like, yeah, either one can go. It doesn't really matter. And I know Herrera does have the reputation of being a better game caller, or at least having a good repertoire with pitchers. And I do agree with you to some sort. I think he'd make a great coach, whether it's an actual manager or some coach in someone's organization at some point. He does seem like he at least has a good mind. Like he has a pretty good baseball IQ. Maybe not Jeff Mathis IQ. Again, no one's going to be Jeff Mathis IQ behind the plate. But he does have a little bit more, I think, off the field and kind of like baseball strategy value than like maybe we're going to see necessarily on the field. But it is a tough call no matter what. Brandon, are you kind of on the same page as Gabe? Are you a little more hesitant because of our lack of MLB ready catchers? Are you more just worried about like, what? Production on the field is really what matters. We're getting more from McCann at the moment. And if we're seeing whether Herrera is the better guy with the pitching staff, if we're seeing better results with McCann behind the plate over Herrera behind the plate, would you rather go with the current hot bat and the guy that so far what we're seeing is getting better results out of our starting staff?
I say ride the hot hand. Right now, McCann is doing well with the pitching staff. He's hitting really well. Yes, it's a very small sample size. It's only 20 at bats. Now he did hit pretty well in AAA for the Braves. So he was doing pretty well there in almost 150 at bats. Had an OPS of 824. So I think I think what maybe they could do is if they sell, maybe one of the prospects they get back is a catcher, is a younger, not like a young catcher, but like maybe a guy that's late 20s, early 30s that they could have in Reno as a backup in case what happens with what Gabe says. Like Gabby comes back and they do decide to go with James McCann and Gabby gets hurt, so now we don't have one. And kind of like we said, ADC is not a catcher; he's a DH. Like he really is a DH. They really should probably figure out another position for him because he's just a liability back there. So for me, like it's really easy. Like ride the hot hand. Gabby's not coming back for at least 10 days. Bro. Like, they are going to reevaluate because his hand is still really hasn't gotten any better. So they're going to reevaluate him in about 10 days.
Fuck you,
So,
MLB, and your dumbass lack of calling for a rain delay.
like, that one sucks. So, again, that's around the 20th. That still gives us 10 days until the trade deadline. So, but again, that's the earliest. And I don't even think they would bring Gabby back like right then. Like they'd probably like, okay, you're good. We'll probably wait another week or two and then bring you back. So I I don't want to say to give up on this team because I'm gonna support them. Like it might be a little cloud nine, but until they're mathematically out of it, I think they have a shot. Because really they do. Like I know it hasn't happened yet, but they could go on a 2 week stretch where they win, I don't know, 6 or 7 1 week and then 6 and 7. Like all of a sudden they gain 3 or 4 games and a wild card and they're 1 to 2 games back. Like it is possible. I know it hasn't happened yet, mainly because of pitching, in my opinion. Like offense has been consistent for the most part. It's just pitching. Like when the bullpen looks decent, starting pitching is struggling. When starting pitching looks lights out, we've seen how many blown leads that this bullpen has done. Like just looking back at that alone, how many blown leads from the bullpen, they would probably be pretty close to a wild card spot. Like maybe 1 game back. Like that's at least, I don't know, like 4 or 5 wins. So you kind of flip that. Instead of 2 games under, they're, I don't know, 4 games over. Like, and the fact is we're down to our, fourth closer, technically, because we lost J-Mart. We
And
lost
closer's
Puck.
very nice, very stretching the label a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, who is the... I don't even know if we have one. Tori did say that from this point, like right now, it's going to be matchup based, which I'm like, yeah, I get. Because you don't have anyone back there you can trust. You want to know who we trust? Is rookie, lefty, Kyle Backus. Everybody else is probably... also, shout out to Juan Murillo on Monday. Getting called up, gets to the game in the 6th inning, and then he has to pitch 15, 20 minutes later. And he didn't do great, but I'm like, what you expect? The man was on a plane and just got there. Like, all of that, I thought he did pretty well.
Very true. Yes, in regards to the McCann thing, I do agree, and then even the one of the things is there was a reason. I don't know if it feels like a while ago, but he did have a really solid season. I think it was for the White Sox before he hit free agency, and he got a big bag from the Mets. Obviously, didn't pan out there. The reason why he was DFA'd and the reason why he was, in the minors for a while. But there was a solid stretch or two there where James McCann was a really, really solid. I believe he was an all-star that year. I'm double checking his stats really quick.
2019 is probably what it was.
I believe it was 2019. I'm confirming really quick. Looks like it was indeed. Yeah, it was 2019. He had a 3.6 WAR. He slashed 273, 328 with a 460 slug, 789 OPS and a 108 OPS plus. So not like the greatest thing ever, but then even in 2020 in the shortened season, he had a 143 OPS plus. So there was once upon a time where James McCann was a really solid season. Again, those two, like 2019 was really his only really productive season at the plate. Other than that, he's always had OPS plus under 100. But I mean, hey, you know what? So far as a D-back, he's got a 249 OPS plus. So if maybe he's unlocked something down in Reno. I know, like Brandon said, he did hit really solid for the Braves minor league system. So maybe whatever it was, a part of his stance, approach at the plate, whatever it is, he got to figure it out. And he's locked in because he's been hitting really well. I do agree either way. I think it's 6 dozen one or 6 in the other, half a dozen in one. Like no matter what, I feel like there's not going to be a clear cut like right answer, right decision to be made. I would be okay with them keeping McCann, but then 2 weeks later, even as Gabe said, as you mentioned, one injury and we're instantly regretting especially if Herrera doesn't pass any waivers and he gets picked up by another team. ADC's been injured most of the season, so they're probably not going to be very comfortable with calling him up right away. He's had some back issues. He's missed more time than I think even Gabby has. So even our two only ready major league caliber catchers, even as Gabe put it, both of them aren't really have the cleanest bill of health so far this year and even in years past. So it'd be a really, it'd be like a glass cannon. I don't know if you got how
Marcus Garcia and Renee Pinto. We aren't excited about those two.
We're a glass cannon out there, for any of you guys that play like MOBAs or anything. We can put up a lot of we have a lot of power, but the second even a breeze comes our way, we basically crumble, and that's kind of our catcher's position so far. But that'll be a move and whatnot that Mike Hazen will definitely have to make, along with tons of other moves, whether it's bullpen, getting some more starting pitchers, whatnot. And Mike Hazen did actually have a few comments regarding this team's position, whether they're going to be like kind of buyers or sellers, and his thought process going into the deadline coming up a little bit after the All-Star break here at the end of the month. So less than like 25, or I think it was like less than 20 days away, roughly from now. We should be knowing exactly what his plan is, and we do have a clip of him on the radio show. I think it was Arizona Sports. That he was on. So, Brandon, if you want to play that clip of Mr. Mike Hazen.
I think the National 500 relative to the American League and 500 relative to the National League are two different things, I think, in this season. But I do think, look, I want to see us playing our best baseball and moving in a direction where we have confidence that this team's going to be able to, because it's not just about the deadline. I can go out there and buy in the deadline, but if we're not playing our best baseball in the second half, it's not really going to matter. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to change the entire nobody can go out there and change the entire composition of their team at one trading deadline. Nobody has the capital to do it in terms of players for trades, and there's going to be a lot of competition out there, so that's unrealistic. I think we could add to the team in a tangible way. I just don't think it's going to be the transformation of the team playing like you guys talked about in the second half of last year. Didn't come from the trade deadline. It came from our players. Corbin Carroll and Gino went off in the second half last year. I mean, that's the same dynamic. That's going to have to happen. No, there's not. I think that.
So even as Mike Hazen said, there are, like, I do fully agree with Mike what he's saying, and that's kind of been my stance is for all needs this team is gonna, like, if we really wanted to fix every single problem with this team at the trade deadline for bullpen and all that, it would cost more than we even have in the minor leagues. Like our minors have taken a hit. Like we got some nice pieces, Waldschmidt, Caldwell, Drew Jones has been really hot lately, so maybe Drew Jones is finally here. But it would, I feel like, cost way too many pieces to fully and truly fill all the gaps and needs that this team needs, from A to Z. And I do agree. Like, obviously, if you're going to do anything, I would like to see some kind of bullpen move. Maybe not the super crazy. Like, all teams are looking for bullpens. Bednar's going to be a hot name. Finnegan's going to be a hot name. I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Sox maybe move on from Chapman, because if anything, it'd be our luck if we get Chapman, who hasn't had any elbow problems and still pumping 103, where his first appearance as a Diamondback is sitting at 96, and we're like, oh, what do you know? Tommy John for a roll to Chapman. So that's definitely going to be a few names that I think a lot of teams are going to target. So don't know if those are going to be the moves that the team necessarily makes, but I do think that at least outside of a bullpen, really just comes down to the team playing better overall. And even as we saw with the series, though, the one thing that I at least do have confidence in is we've seen the team play at least better, where like I said, this was a winnable series. There wasn't really any punting going on. Like I know even today Woodford was left in, but it's to the point with the bullpen where I'm like, what really does Torrey have to go with? He looked decent. He looked decent, and again, maybe it was luck and whatnot, but it wasn't a punt. If he would have given up the run, and then they left him in basically to die out there, and they said, well, we're down by 2, who cares? Just give up the more. Then that'd be a punt game. But there was no punting this series. There was at least a very winnable series, and the D-backs did play better. Again, not fully 100%. There was some offensive issues, but I think that can easily be fixed by them just, even like Gabe said, stop trying to swing for the fences, stop trying to out-homer the Padres, get back to doing what they can do, singles, doubles, triples, occasional home run every now and then from your power guys. But just the team playing better overall, I think, is going to be a big key. And I think that this team can still do something as long as they just lock in, just play a little bit more consistently, and I think that we'll see some decent moves from Mike Hazen. Again, nothing like groundbreaking, earth-shattering. Maybe another puck type move where he goes and gets an underrated bullpen arm that a lot of us weren't fully expecting. But when you look at their underlying metrics, you're like, you know what, this guy's actually been really solid over the last 2 months. But gonna pass it to you, Gabe. I'm curious your thoughts on Mike Hazen, what he said about the stance of just teams not having the capital to go and make these groundbreaking and team altering moves. The how confident he necessarily sounded the team. What he said about this team needing to show him that they're trending in a positive direction. What are your thoughts and everything about what Hazen said on the radio?
This is basically what he said last year. He said the team has to show him that they're going to be ready to compete. And last year, what did he do at the deadline? He got puck, which was a great move. But overall, I think all of us were pretty underwhelmed. With the moves that he made. He just picked up Josh Bell and
Dylan Floro.
Floro. Yeah.
God.
Like I said, Bell was good, but obviously at the time that was just a pure necessity, just because Walker went down, but there's no guarantee he would have even gotten Bell either if Walker didn't go down. If Walker didn't go down, I think the moves Hazen would have made were just Floro and Puck. So at the time I said that I felt that Hazen abandoned his team because the need last year for sure was starting pitcher, because the starting staff was dead, like in the hospital in a coma, and they had just Brandon Pfaadt and Ryan Nelson and no one else. And so I felt like, they needed a starting pitcher, and Mike Hazen didn't get a starting pitcher. And then the Dodgers just gave up, what is it, Miguel? No, what's his name? Vargas?
Miguel
Was
Vargas.
it Vargas just for Flaherty, who dominated and helped win them a World Series, and then Kopech? Like, it's frustrating when I think about it more and more. What happened last year, for this year too. Like, Hazen is saying this now, but come to the deadline, let's say they're a game behind the wild card, 2 games behind the wild card. This team has clear needs, and he's saying it's not going to change. He's not going to change the entire team because that is kind of impossible. But you can retool it to a certain extent to where you're back in it. And right now, the main needs are the bullpen. I mean, with Pavin not there, we don't necessarily have the same need for DH that we had before. But although I do think if they get purely DH bat that could be in there every single day, like that has true power, I do think it's going to help elevate this team a lot more than it is. I mean, Grichuk has been decent, but with how little he's been playing, he's only batting like 239.
Call the Nationals, see what they want for Lowe.
For Lowe, I mean, Lowe is hitting down near 300. Like, he's been very, very good. So I don't know. I feel like right now they still need a DH type of guy, maybe a guy who can play first base, because right now, I mean, they're relying on Tristan English to give some relief to Josh Naylor, who's had some neck issues. But I think they need a true DH, a guy who's going to be there every single day, and they need a couple of bullpen arms. And I don't know if I trust Mike Hazen to actually make those moves that he needs to. And could just be talking about him selling. I don't want him to sell because, again, unless he gets an offer that's too good to refuse, where you're getting a major league ready, let's say, catcher, a major league ready first baseman, like an actual great move to where you're getting an actual ready-made talent, like a James Wood type that the Nationals got for Soto. Unless it's something like that, then I don't think Hazen should sell, because as Gino's been great, Naylor's been great. I don't think they should just give it up, because again, this team could just turn on a dime suddenly. I mean, look at the starting pitching; it turned suddenly. They went from being terrible to suddenly they're elite, at least in this series. So next series against the Angels, they could just sweep them, and then suddenly this team is where they're supposed to be, where the starting pitcher is as good as advertised, where the offense is as good as advertised, and at that point you might just need a bullpen arm and, again, a steady DH.
Yeah, and even if they do end up becoming full-time sellers, one thing that I feel like at least 95 to 99% of baseball fans, at least online, that actually have brain cells left in their brain, Ketel Marte is not going anywhere. I'm looking at you, Phillies and Yankees fans. I'm looking at you.
They
Marte
do
is
it
not
every year, by the
every
way.
fucking
They
year.
do it every year.
Ketel Marte just got an extension. He's team friendly. He is literally like less than 100 games away, like played games away from being like the most games played as an Arizona Diamondback of all time. Like literally passing Goldie. Like at this rate, Ketel Marte might be the next guy out I could think of outside of Paul Goldschmidt that's going to have his number retired and be in the D-backs Hall of Fame. And that's like he's not going anywhere. Like I don't care. Even if this team loses their next 10, he's not getting traded. Like just please, baseball Twitter, get that through your goddamn minds. Ketel Marte's not going anywhere. But I do agree with you, Gabe. It was frustrating, especially looking back on last year. This does seem kind of like the same thing that Mike Hazen said. But I do at least this year especially get to a certain degree. Where last year the bullpen was really solid. Or at least like it was a little bit better than what we're seeing this year. Yes, they needed a starting pitcher and they just didn't really do anything. But with the way they're playing, because I don't think they really caught fire until it got into August, because I think that's when they swept the Red Sox. I remember they were playing really well, and then near the end of August, going in, I think it was pretty much the middle to end of August, going into the start of September, they were playing really well. But then that's when they hit that stretch against like the Mets where they started to struggle, and that's really where they started to lose ground at the end of the year. But I do agree. Would like to see them if they are in a better position they are now. Like if they go on a run, like Brandon said earlier, win 5 of 6 or 6 of 7 in the next 2 weeks. Add a little bit here and there. Really give this team a shot in the arm, a little bit of a boost to show like what, like let's go do this thing. You just got to get into the dance. That's all it needs, and then crazy things can happen from there. We saw it in 2023. We can see it again. But Brandon, same thing to you. What are your thoughts on how Mike Hazen kind of has his mindset going into the upcoming trade deadline, and just what overall he kind of said about the state of this team and just the league itself going around here as we approach the All-Star break into the trade deadline at the end of the month?
It's very on par for Mike Hazen. He's a very competitive man. Like he's not gonna come out and say, "Yes, I'm selling. This team isn't making the play." He's not gonna say that in the media. Like he's just not. And for all the fans, like Mike should sell. My only concern is so many fans like, "Oh, trade Kelly, trade Gallen, trade Gino, trade Naylor." I'm like, what if? And my issue with that is it leaves you open to getting a fleece, and I do not want because we've seen some of these mock trades to like Seattle, the Yankee, because Gino has been linked to both of those teams quite a bit. I just that's my big worry because he hasn't when he has had to sell at the trade deadline, it hasn't worked out very well. He's not good at that part. Like that's probably the one thing that I think he struggles with is trading for prospects. Like during the season, like he's great at it during the off season, but for whatever reason, he kind of, in my opinion, he struggles with it during the season. And like they basically asked him on the radio, "Is there a win total that you're looking at games back?" No. For him, it's how are they playing. I'm like, well, they haven't played well all year, consistently. Like it's always they play really really good for 2 or 3 games, and then they play really really poorly for 2 or 3 games. So, to be honest, I would rather they just stand pat. Don't do anything. Don't trade Gino. Don't trade Naylor. Don't trade Kelly. Don't trade Gallen. Like I know that's probably gonna suck, because you're probably going to lose a lot of them in the offseason, so don't you want to get something out of it? But I'm like, what if you can't get anything good in a trade? Like, you don't make a trade just to make a trade is my thing. That's why if he does sell, it's going to be the day of. He is not doing it now, even though so many fans like, just sell now. I'm like, that's not how athletes work.
Teams aren't desperate enough either. Teams will, once you get closer to the deadline, teams are more willing to overpay or be like, all right, you want my number one prospect? Fuck it. I really want that player here.
Yeah, and that's usually what you see a lot, like the day before or the day of, hours leading up to the deadline. Some of these GMs, they get very desperate. So that would be something that if, say we trade Gino, like the day of, like an hour before the deadline is actually up, and we get a legit starting pitcher. Like maybe Mitch Keller in like a 3-team deal. Like I know his win loss is like it's
He's a
nothing to
free
write
agent
home.
though, isn't he, after the season?
Oh, uh, oh, like I was just throwing because Burns most likely is not playing in 26. So either for me, if you're gonna trade these guys, you gotta get a top of the line starting pitcher or a shutdown legit closer. For me, those are the only two that I'd be comfortable moving those guys on from. Yeah, I would like an actual DH. I'm not holding my breath on that one. For me, like if you had to ask me, all right, one position out of those three, which one do you want more than anything? For me, it's a shutdown closer, a guy that we know every day. Oh, it's a 3-run lead. This guy's coming in, regardless if he's pitched 2 of the last 3 days. Like I'm not saying like a Josh Hader, but like a closer of that caliber.
Yes, and even in our, I'm looking at our Discord here. Nugget brings up a good point in there, saying the D-backs need to go 42 and 26 the rest of the way to get a playoff spot, which sounds daunting just off the number. But either way, even if we miss out, I'd rather just, like Brandon said, avoid the possibility of getting fleeced. Don't blow it up because again, then it kind of seems like you're basically punting on the season, and you're like, all right, give them next year. Where I'd rather them at least give me some hope, because again, no matter what, this team could suck. We were all three of us.
Pull
I
the
imagine,
Tigers.
exactly.
Sell and somehow make it into the playoffs.
And no matter the state of this team, like, I imagine a lot of fans listening to this can say the same thing. We were all fans in 2021. We were all fans in some of the, like, even in 2020. Like, we weren't brand new fans just because of them making I know this podcast started after they made the World Series. But at least I can say for myself confidently, and I feel like you guys as well, and I'd say 95 to 99% of the people listening, you guys have been here through the dark days of the D-backs baseball, where we're not bandwagons up here. We will still support this team.
Josh Van Meter,
back in the days when El Tanque was our best player, like the one season, 2016. You guys remember when we got Greinke, how terrible that season was and what a disappointment. I was still going to games. I'll still go to games whether this team is a playoff team or not. But would just like a little bit more hope because again, it makes those games in August and September just a little bit more fun to watch, as you don't have to worry about, like, and the stadium stays a little bit fuller, so then that way they can put more money into players going into the future. But any final thoughts, gentlemen, on this Padres series before we kind of get into our next series preview against the Los Angeles Angels? Actually, really quick before that, I did want to bring up a few comments here. Charles Elliott saying that some of the Twitter trades are like the Mariners getting Eugenio Suarez, which is just hilarious that they want him back. The D-backs get Rowdy Tellez and Gen 1 Switch. The Switch one is funny as hell because if you guys don't know, the Mariners team sponsor, like we have Avnet, they have Nintendo Switch. So that's just hilarious. Disruptive is even saying Rowdy Tellez. I'm pretty sure he was DFA'd, but it'd be a very, like, that is what Twitter fans think, is they can turn, hey, I want your best player. Here's a 6-pack of PBR.
This is not like MLB The Show, you guys. Just stop.
Yeah, there is no forced trade or whatever. Like, I saw one that was like Josh Naylor for Marcus Stroman. I'm like, isn't Marcus Stroman dead? Like, I don't think he's pitched at all this season. Like, who the hell would take on Marcus Stroman right now?
He has pitched, but I think he's been worse than Erod.
Yeah, he's like a 7 ERA, and like, I think he's barely pitched at all this season. Like, he's basically
there's just certain fan bases out there that think, oh, any team should send us their players because we're better. Like, Yankee fans do it every freaking year with Ketel Marte.
Remember all those the funny trade packages? Like, can we send up Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier for this player? And it's like, dog, like, just like how a lot of scouts and whatnot overhype certain Dodger prospects, I feel like a lot of people do the same thing with the Yankees as well, where it's like, brother, like, I've seen some Yankee fans like, is there any way we can trade Volpe and maybe like our AA pitcher for Ketel Marte? No, not enough, unless you kidnap Mike Hazen, hold somebody.
You can have Marte for Aaron Judge. You send us Aaron Judge, we'll send you Ketel.
Not even that. Aaron Judge isn't Aaron Judge older than Ketel? Aaron Judge is the same age as Eugenio Suarez. Like, I'm taking, again, like, no disrespect to Judge. I don't want to seem like I'm not saying Judge is the best power hitter we probably have in the game currently. He is a fun player to watch, but I'll take Ketel Marte, who's going to be a Diamondback for not a lifer. He was a Mariner for a minute, but he's going to be a Diamondback and remember as a Diamondback and going to go to the Diamondback Hall of Fame versus Aaron Judge, who we would for some reason just trade away instantly anyway. But any final thoughts from you, gentlemen, on the Padres series that we just split in San Diego before we move on?
Flush it and move on.
That's
Oh, God.
yeah, that's kind of it. I just want to give a quick shout out to Cole Mentor and Tuffy Gosowich, who took over the broadcasting during this series. I think both of them do such a good job breaking down the game and just in general being good commentators. So it's always nice to listen to Josh on the TV and then Tuffy on the radio. I think they both work well with Steve and Chris.
I do agree. I think that's a very deserved shout out. They're very enjoyable to listen to. I do like Cole Mentor, especially it's a guy that, gosh, if there's any young D-backs fans in here, guys that maybe are a little bit newer to the team, if you don't know Josh Cole Mentor, man, just go look up some of those highlights. What he was doing with that and just learning. I remember every broadcast, I'm like, oh, I throw like that because that's just how I threw axes in the woods back wherever in the South he's from. Just an enjoyable guy, and I love Josh Cole Mentor. Even Tuffy Goswich, I know he wasn't. I feel like even Tuffy Goswich was a better catcher than Jose Herrera. So shout out both those guys.
Cole Mentor is better than Bob Brenly, and I will die on that hill. Like I love Bob, but I can't listen to him on TV anymore.
I agree. He's definitely he's almost as bad as the Smoltz like old man get off my lawn energy that he brings.
I mean, you're talking about the bad years here. Josh Cole Mentor opened the season in 2015. He was our opening day starter.
Oh God. Oh man. I mean, deservedly so at the time. He was our best pitcher, but yeah, no kidding about bad years. But like I said, as Tori would say, flush it and move on. Thank you for the reminder, Brandon. I haven't heard that enough so far this week.
I do it because Bubba gets so mad when he says, I'm like, what else is he supposed to say?
Yeah, I'd rather have the manager say like some that or the Aaron Boone. It's right in front of us. Than throw other players under the bus because that's just what a
Make
good
a
manager
combination video every time Tori said flush it and move on in a press conference.
We need it. But speaking of things we need a minimum of a series win as the D-backs are going to face the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim in the city of LA. They're just the dumbest fucking. They're the Angels, the Anaheim Angels. They're not the LA Angels. But they're going to face them. Ryan Nelson is opening up the series tomorrow night. 5-2 with a 3.39 ERA. He's been a stud so far in his last few outings. Just been killing it. He's going back to even I think halfway or the All-Star break of last year. He's been one of our more consistent pitchers. Hopefully he can continues it. Going up against Tyler Anderson, one-time Dodger. Feels like a dude that I'll have to look up his numbers. I feel like he always just kind of does well against us. We always make mid to mediocre guys look like aces. I mean, look at Sunday's game with Michael Lorenzen. He is 2-6 on the year with a 4.19 ERA. Game 2 on Saturday, Zach Gallen is towing the rubber again. He is now 7-9 on the year. Like I said earlier, got his ERA down to 5.15. Going up against Yusei Kikuchi, who's had a little bit of a career resurgence. I know the end of his Blue Jays seasons weren't the greatest. He was kind of doing what Erod is doing and just giving up meatballs, but he's 3-6 on the year with a 3.02 ERA. So hopefully we can, kind of touch him up a little bit and make his ERA look a little bit uglier. And then Sunday's series finale will be Merrill Kelly, the mainstay, 7-5 on the year with a 3.41 ERA, going up against Jose Soriano, who is 6-6 with a 4 ERA. So no, stud stellar pitchers for the Angels. Not like a Skeens or even a Mizorowski level that we're going to be facing, which again, if you guys haven't been watching any Jacob Mizorowski, he is such a fun pitcher. Like I'm glad that there's finally a fun pitcher that's, that poor NL Central fans, they get to deal with Skeens only for 2 more years before he's a Dodger, and Mizorowski for a little while. But looking at this series and this matchup, is there any maybe predictions you have? I know, Gabe, you've been having some fun picking out a player that you're kind of keeping your eye on. I know the Gino one it wasn't like a bad pick. Obviously, homered the series, but today had a few chances to really make you look like the elite ball knower that you are. But is there any predictions with like a certain player, maybe a pitcher, a certain matchup you're looking forward to? I know for me, it's always great to see Mike Trout. Hopefully he doesn't, hurt us too bad. But it's always fun to watch a future Hall of Famer in action. So that's who I'm going to be watching, especially him versus Nelson and Gallen especially. It's going to be a fun matchup. I'm definitely going to be tuning in every time that comes around, but I'm curious what you guys are going to be looking out for, something that you maybe predictions or just maybe somebody that you're going to keep your eye on for the entire series.
I I had two guys that I wanted to point to, but I think one of them is probably not get that much playing time, and that's Alec Thomas. He's been struggling the last month or so, but he's been hitting the ball really really hard lately, and some of them got for outs, and some other ones haven't, like we saw today. It's just some really good hard contact, and I've always hated the term someone is due, just because a lot of that is just weirdly based on luck, but when you look at his stats, everything that's coming out of his bat is 100 miles per hour lately. So I do think he would be primed to go off. The problem is two left-handers who are starting on Friday and then Saturday. So unless the righties come in, we probably won't see much of Alec until Sunday. Hopefully he can get a home run. I feel like he probably will get a home run. And then Perdomo. Perdomo has also been struggling a little bit, but he's also been hitting the ball really, really hard lately. So for me, I guess it would have to be by default Perdomo, just because he's probably going to get way more playing time than Alec will in this series. The Angels have a worse pitching staff than we do, thankfully. So it's kind of going to come up to whichever team shows up offensively. And for me, I want Gallen to also repeat, maybe not do 7 shutout or whatever, but have some progress. Show us that with McCann, this is who you are now, and this is who you're going to be the rest of the season. Because if he goes out there and goes, the same 4 innings, 5 runs, then maybe we're going to have to think about selling.
Yeah, so hopefully a series sweep would be absolute hot here. Would love to see Gallen, Nelly, and Merrill all just continue the streak. Obviously, I know Erod broke the streak a little bit tonight, but start a new one about your starting pitchers. Let's see another 6, 7, and 8 innings. One up each other. Go out there and do better than the other one. But I do like the pick of Alec Thomas. Obviously, it'll be tough. We'll probably see a little bit more Jake McCarthy. The fact that there's 2 lefties, so who knows? Maybe we'll get to see Randall a little bit more. Maybe he'll break out. I know for all the flack that we've been giving Pavin being our DH and how poor he's been hitting Randall. Obviously, he's a little bit different. It's tough to get hot when you're only getting 1 or 2 starts a week. He's been pretty struggling this year. I know he's not the Randall that we got last year. I think his OPS is barely hovering over 700 right now. So it'd be nice to see him get a little bit hotter. Obviously, he'll probably get a few more starts at DH with 2 lefties. So it'd be nice to see him park a few down the Dodgers copy of a stadium that is the Angels over there in Anaheim. But Brandon, throwing it to you, is there anything that you kind of wanted to keep an eye on, whether it's on the D-back side, the Angels side? Like I said earlier, I think Tyler Anderson has always done well against us, or if there's maybe a particular D-backs hitter, kind of like how Gabe mentioned, Alec and Perdomo, that you're going to be having your eye on going into this 3-game set.
I know we need a sweep. I think we only win Friday. I think we lose to Kikuchi and Jose Soriano, personally, because they're both pretty good pitchers. I know that win-loss record and ERA make it look not, but I love how you brought up Tyler Anderson, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, how has he done? He's 3-1 with a 1.67 ERA with 35 strikeouts. 7 appearances versus the D-backs. He hasn't given up a run to us since May of 2022. He's had 4 straight starts. He went 6 innings, no runs. 7 innings, no runs. 6 innings, no runs. 5 innings, no runs. So he's probably going to do it again. Oh, by the way, game's on Apple TV Plus tomorrow.
Oh, fuck me. All right, I guess I'm watching that shit on mute. Good fucking God. Yeah. I can't wait to get the dumbest in-game interviews and the dumbest fucking
Keep in mind, when you're watching on Apple TV Plus, if you go to the bottom right corner, you can actually select radio broadcasts.
Not even that. Give us what MLB did for a few games. I think in 2020. Let me just listen to the stadium sounds, man. I'd rather watch a fucking Apple TV game because they do a good job with the probability and the stats, and their broadcasts are really crisp.
Visually looks great.
Horrible. I love D-Train, but the one thing, he can pitch, but he cannot be a goddamn commentator. Oh my God. I don't even know if we'll get him tomorrow, but that ruined my night, Brandon. I hate Apple TV games.
Again, that wasn't just for you. That was for all of our listeners. I'll probably make sure to tweet it out tomorrow as well, so everybody knows. Yes, we're on Apple TV Plus tomorrow. I I mean, Gallen's approaching 500. He's 7-9. Um, to be honest, I want James McCann to start all 3 games of the series, but he's not going to.
He'll get
Um,
at
I
least one.
I could see them like flip flopping. So like, actually, I bet Herrera starts tomorrow with Nilsson, and then McCann definitely starts Saturday with Gallen. It's so weird to think if if Burns doesn't get Tommy John, Ryan Nelson is not in the starting rotation. He is just not. They were having him go back to the bullpen. Like, it's literally our best pitcher, right? He's our best starting pitcher right
Especially
now.
it's funny the fact that, like, don't get me wrong, some of his secondary stuff is good, but he's literally going up there. He's like, I'm gonna throw a fastball right by you. Like, I'm throwing a fastball through your face. Like, you're not gonna fucking touch it.
Good
Like,
luck.
like here we go. He's not a Nolan Ryan out there, but it's almost like the kind of the same energy where Nolan Ryan would be like, I'm throwing you a fastball. Guess what? He's like, or even like I know Greinke at times would tell hitters. I know this was a little bit at the end of Greinke's career where he's kind of like telling guys, all right, fastball, change up, all that. Ryan Nelson could literally go up there and like, here's a fastball. Here's the location I'm going to throw it to you. Guess what? You're still not going to hit it. And that's the kind of energy.
Right
that-
on the inside corner, you're not going to be able to hit it. That's why when people like the whole Houston Astros thing, like they knew it was coming. For me, I'm like, just because you know what pitch is coming and where doesn't mean you can hit it.
Hold
I
on,
think
we're
it's
not going to turn
harder.
into Astros apologists up here and say that what they did wasn't,
No.
that was-
I'm not saying that it wasn't wrong. I'm just saying just because you know what the play and it's like that with football too. You can know what route the guys are running. Doesn't mean you can stop it. You still have to defend it.
still a night and day difference. Like again, even that is the one thing. At least like hitters are probably going to see more fastballs, but because his breaking stuff is still good, that's what makes his fastball so effective. I mean, go look at the numbers. Like the one guy again. I know we're not going to tangent too much on it, but the one guy that gets way too much flack for it is Jose Altuve. He did it the least. Like he does not deserve the cheater label that a lot of people put on him. It's mostly salty Yankee fans that he
Hall
won
of Famer.
100% a Hall of Famer. It's Alex Bregman, George Springer, Jake Marisnick, and Carlos Beltran are the big 4 that like they hunt.
Yuri Gurriel was actually, you know, who was the worst offender? Marwin Gonzalez was like,
Yeah, dude, Marwin's funny looking back once that came out. It's like oh, that's why he didn't do too good in Minnesota and why he had like a year or two where he did really
and why he
fucking
was
well.
good in Boston too.
Yeah, true. Oh yeah, they're he was using the Apple Watches then. That's why they were getting their signs from that.
It was it was the same thing.
But so yeah, I do think that the Nelly will be a fun match. Like I said, him versus Trout's gonna be a fun one because Trout does pretty well against fastballs from what I remember. Maybe I'm misremembering my numbers, but I think Trout against the fastball is still borderline Michael Trout, like prime against it. I know he's been injury prone. He's even looking at his numbers. I think he'll still hitting like in the low 200s. But still, that's gonna be a fun matchup. And I'm excited to see it. But either way, I hope you guys I hope you guys are excited to see it too. We'll see you guys on Sunday. But again, this has been another fun episode of D-Backs Dispatch. Like I said at the beginning, if you guys haven't already followed us on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, make sure you do that. While you're over on Twitter, if you also have not joined the Discord yet, join the Discord. It's free. You don't got to pay any money to join it. Like I said, it's absolutely free. You just got to download the app or at least make a login, even if you do on the computer. It's our pinned tweet, so do that. Make sure you guys go on over to azsnakepit.com. Check out all the great content over there, written content, game day threads, a lot of breakdowns, especially our man Jeff Irving, who's in the comments tonight. He does a lot of great recaps and a lot of in-depth analysis that I'm a big fan of myself as well. Make sure you guys also, if you're on the YouTube side, again, appreciate you guys hanging out in the live chat with us, or even if you're listening to the replay afterwards. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Really does help out the algorithm on the channel. Really pushes us out to a broader audience, and does a lot of good in the end of the day. And then make sure you guys, if you are listening on the audio end, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to, leave us a rating. I'm not gonna beg for 5 stars. You can rate me and the boys 1 star if you want. Don't know why you'd be listening to us, but it's fine. But if you have the time, make sure you guys drop us a rating on wherever you're listening to. But like I said, this has been another honestly a fun episode. I know coming into it a serious split, I was like, let's just get this over with. But this has been a fun discussion. I had an absolute blast. Hope you guys did as well. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday night, and then a great weekend as well, as we will see you guys on Sunday, where hopefully we at minimum can discuss the D-back series win, potentially a sweep. But we'll have to wait and see, and maybe this will be the decider of our season going into as we get down in the last few games before the All-Star break. But again, you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we'll catch you guys on Sunday. Peace out.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan, Gabe on the call with Josh in the back.